All right, awesome. Yeah, former UofL coach, player, and ACC analyst David Padgett joining us right now on the V Show with Phil Baker, Nick Valvano, and Jason Jenkins in for Bobby V. Coach, how are you, man?
I'm doing great. I appreciate you guys having me on. I'm trying to stay warm, as I'm sure we all are.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, so we got to get right into Louisville basketball last night. We've been talking about it ad nauseum, but with good reason. I mean, it was a dominant performance. It's the last game of the year that they were not favored to win, according to ESPN's Matrix, and they do it in an emphatic fashion. Was there any, obviously Rain Smith breaking the three-point record stands out. Chucky Hepburn breaking the assist record stands out, but was there anything besides those two that maybe you came away impressed with?
Well, I think the better question may be, what weren't we impressed with last night?
I should have asked that. Yeah, that is the better question.
No, hey, if they can go on the road and make 19 threes, they're going to have a pretty good last couple months of the season. But, I was actually talking to somebody about this earlier today. Obviously, the offensive side of the ball has been phenomenal all season. That's kind of been Pat's thing. His whole career has always been a great offensive coach. I can't tell you how impressed I've been with them defensively, especially being how thin they are. Losing Case into the knee injury in November, the bench gets a lot thinner. They've had some other injuries. Obviously, Noah didn't even play last night, hasn't played the last two games. I've been so impressed with their defense. To go on the road and put up 95 points, but to hold the other team to 63, that's just... It's been remarkable to see how good they've been defensively in every game, and it kind of doesn't get quite as much of the credit as it should, just because of how well they've been playing offensively. But to me, the defense has been the most impressive part.
David Padgett, be sure to give him a follow on Twitter/X. Joining here at the V Show, ESPN Louisville, ESPN Louisville app. Doing great work on ESPN and the ACC network. Now, David, I know you've been bouncing around doing a bunch of color commentating for a bunch of the ACC games. Chucky Hepburn, I can't recall a better point guard that we've had maybe since Peyton Siva. I know you coached a good one in Quentin Snyder, but just how good has he been, whether it be assisting the ball, defensively? He's got to be one of the top point guards in the ACC, right?
I don't think there's any doubt about that. And I was going to say, raise it up a level and say he's one of the best point guards in the country. And anybody who maybe doesn't believe that obviously hasn't watched Louisville enough, but they need to, because he's really playing at that elite of a level. And, I went to practice for the first time last summer before they were getting ready to go on that trip to the Bahamas. And I walked out of there and I said, that's the guy right there. And this was, 6-7 months ago, and he was impressive back then, but he has just continued to do everything for him. He's scoring. He's a great defender. Obviously, last night was 16 assists and only 2 turnovers. He's shooting the ball well. He's running the team. There's just not a whole lot that he's not doing for them right now. And if he can continue to play at this level, I think the sky's the limit for him through the rest of the season.
David Padgett joining us from the ACC Network now, former UofL player and coach. David, Chucky Hepburn, absolutely fantastic last night. But we're taking it back to a little bit more of a macro level here. I mentioned earlier that was the last game that Louisville wasn't favored to win for the remainder of the season. I'm not expecting them necessarily to win out, but what is this team's ceiling in conference play?
Well, obviously, the ACC is a lot different this year, and I've spent quite a bit of time talking about this on broadcasts, and I've heard other people talk about it as well. It's not the ACC of 5, but even especially 10 years ago. And that's not a criticism. There's obviously ebbs and flows when it comes to basketball, and if you look at the changes from a coaching standpoint, you lose Roy Williams, Coach K, Jim Boeheim, obviously Coach Pitino is not around in the ACC anymore. Tony Bennett leaves this year. Jim Larinaga leaves in the middle of the season. So that's going to have an impact. And the league is what it is. And that's not a detriment to Louisville to say that, hey, they're doing well because, I don't believe in all that. They're doing well because the ACC's down. Okay, well, they can only play who's in front of them. So the reason I bring that up is it's a little bit different from the standpoint this year. They've done a great job of taking care of the opportunities for the quad 1, quad 2 wins that they've had. I think the biggest challenge for them and other teams as well is you got to avoid what they call obviously a really bad loss. They don't get a chance to play Duke again. They don't get a chance to play North Carolina again. Obviously, Wake Forest is coming in here next week, which will be a good opportunity for them because they're playing well. But I think the most important thing right now is just avoiding those losses to the bottom tier teams of the league, where in years past it was, okay, we've got a bunch of opportunities to get great wins. I think the mindset now needs to be, okay, we've got to avoid the bad losses that will really hurt a resume. So at the end of the day, they just need to keep doing what they've been doing. They're playing really well. They seem very cohesive with everything that they're doing, and they seem like they're playing with a little bit of a chip on their shoulder, and I'm sure it's been a huge motivating factor this year for these guys to get this program back to where it needs to be. And, as a former player and coach, I can't be more proud of what I've seen on the floor this year. It's been absolutely incredible to watch.